What's up, lore masters? In the last episode, I discussed the situation of the siege of AR-558, the perils of being in the Chintaka system, and those officers that I truly think Starfleet had left behind. Today, we're going to finish most of this out by discussing Sisko's decision to stay and how Starfleet became the Dominion. It's really interesting in retrospect. As I go through this breakdown, I talk about the fall of Starfleet morality and their very pragmatic decisions. People get extremely upset about this, and even some call me a liberal progressive pansy because I criticize how, quote-unquote, Starfleet is doing what needs to be done, and this is similar to X situation today. The irony is, these people obviously don't watch Star Trek as much as they think they do. I emphasize the details I do, not because I'm upset or think that the conflict shouldn't happen the way it is, or because it's something we would do now means it's bad, but because it's something Starfleet would not do. And that's according to them, not me. The show, for years and years, has promoted how the Federation and humans were much better than we are in this day and age. They've done this from the original series on, and now, when the rubber hits the road, they are just as bloodthirsty as we ever could be, and willing to do what needs to be done regardless of what they've said in the past. Just because you didn't like the way they used to be or didn't realize how pacifistic they were, don't blame me. Anyway, focusing back on the episode, Sisko and the landing party entrench themselves and follow the one order given to them by Starfleet: hold the line. We see that one of the largest stressors and indeed enemies of the Starfleet personnel here is simply the unknown. The Jem'Hadar know where they are, but the reverse isn't true. To be fair, neither side knows how many troops they have and both are jamming each other's sensors, but that doesn't make anyone feel better. This does present an interesting perspective about the Jem'Hadar that we don't generally see, though. The drug-riddled super soldiers have historically always been shown as a blunt instrument, a hammer to a nail that won't go in. However, straightforward attacks aren't working, so we see that they begin using tactics. We observe them doing so with holograms to pinpoint the number of soldiers Starfleet has and what spots they are defending from. They also use sensor jamming equipment. And all of this ties into a type of psychological warfare, as the officers now know that the Dominion have more information on them. Information that they don't have on the Jem'Hadar. It's going to make it that much easier for the Dominion to kill every last one of them. And then, immediately after realizing this, a mine goes off, killing or harming one of their very few personnel left. The Dominion was taking them apart, piece by piece, and officer at a time. It was worse than simply losing to the Dominion. It was a Dominion loss while the Dominion was taking them apart, body part by body part. And to be honest, that was it. Something had to change or they were done. In the past, a famous Andorian would say, "Don't push the pinkskins to the thin ice." It wasn't very eloquent, but the Jem'Hadar would find it to be quite prophetic. Sisko focused on two different issues: finding and identifying the base of the Jem'Hadar, as well as identifying and nullifying the Houdinis, those mines that were going off randomly in the Starfleet base that was killing everyone one person at a time. To find the base, Sisko tasks two veterans and Nog. Unlike the sensors, Nog's ears worked and he would be able to find them. Then Sisko would task Ezri, and a soft-spoken, rugged engineer that has been given a fair amount of screen time, as well as a personality and some quirks. So I'm sure he's going to be just fine and not dead by the end of the episode. The scouting mission is successful, but it comes at the expense of Nog's leg and the life of the lieutenant that had been in charge before Sisko arrived. They do identify where the Jem'Hadar are and how many soldiers were there, but while trying to get back to base, they're ambushed. They fight their way through, and upon arriving back, Nog is rushed into surgery. The results of what happens to him only showing how devastating the Dominion technology is. The weapons are designed to kill, but if they can't kill them, they'll disable the person with an anticoagulant. The poor sod either bleeds to death or loses a limb. It was devastatingly effective. And all of this for territory, an item they'll never be able to hold on to. The attempts to identify the mines do yield spectacular results. Ezri and Definitely Not Gonna Die Boy are able to break through the jamming and find where the mines are. Before I get into that, can I just point out that they have been able to get a massive advantage that is never utilized beyond finding and moving the mines. I mean, are you kidding me? You now have the ability to use tricorders, and the Jem'Hadar still can't use any of their equipment. It is only 100 meters that you can scan for, sure, but that is more than enough. You can get complete compositions of troop strength, what they have, and counter any attacks from 100 meters out. There will never be a surprise attack by the Jem'Hadar again, but nah, screw that. We'll find these mines and then be done with this massive advantage. On that score, as stated, they find the mines and decide to place them in front of the Jem'Hadar that will be coming after them and set them to be activated based on movement. Ezri has some issues with this, giving the tried and true argument, well, only the Dominion would use this weapon, and now we are. This is what I was talking about at the beginning. If you were to ask me, based on Starfleet ethos, what Starfleet claims to be, would they use personal mines like these or in this manner? Answer is absolutely not. But if Starfleet officers' backs are against the wall and they are about to lose everything and have to make some hard choices, then absolutely they'll do it. Don't misunderstand me here. Sisko makes the right call. However, this is definitively not a TNG decision, though I would argue it's possibly a toss one. Maybe we'll discuss that another time. Now, with everything in place and the decision not to use the tricorders because let's get more people killed, the defenders of Starfleet sit and wait. And while everyone is so tense, thinking every little sound is a Jem'Hadar and just watching, waiting to die, the Doctor starts playing music without telling anyone. Him doing this could of course have gotten people killed, but luckily it didn't, and stupidity is rarely punished if it's a main cast actor doing it. I do want to point out that it was stupid because it gives away information about the base, but I really can't tell you what advantage the music blaring does except to relax the soldiers a bit when they don't need to be, as well as make it hard to hear if anything's incoming. To be honest, it wouldn't matter though. The hammer that was the Dominion rushes forward into the ravine where the mines are and they all explode. Roughly a third of the troops would be killed, and then Starfleet officers would note that there's just silence. Of course, this glimmer of hope is dashed as the rest of the Jem'Hadar rush the lines of Starfleet. Dozens to hundreds of Jem'Hadar move forward on the Starfleet position. Sisko orders everyone to fire, but in less than 45 seconds, the line is overrun and broken. Crossfire begins to occur both behind Starfleet lines and in front of it. The Jem'Hadar engage many Starfleet officers in hand-to-hand combat, completely infesting the Starfleet encampment, to the point that Jem'Hadar even make it to the medical area where the hurt soldiers are resting. The situation was so dire that there are no security forces protecting those who are hurt or dying in back. In fact, Quark would have to draw his own phaser and kill a Jem'Hadar himself just to stay safe. We don't know how the entire battle plays out, but we do know that it was a Starfleet victory, with most everyone, on both sides, dead or dying. The entire Starfleet entrenchment is in tatters. Of course, after the battle, the use of tricorders is authorized because they no longer posed a tactical advantage for Starfleet. From what I can see, the overall tactical plan was to hold the position and fire weapons on heavy stun or set to kill. Likely kill given how many of the Jem'Hadar were there, and you can't have them waking up after a battle. There are a lot of questions about how this battle went out. For instance, why didn't they set their phasers to wide range? In the last video I did on this episode, I said it made sense because maybe you were worried about cave-ins or how effective it would be. Now I'm not so sure. It seems like the best option would have been to use it, and I'm not sure why they didn't. It's beyond me. After the battle, it does seem the Jem'Hadar had expended most all of their troops, and Sisko and company could hold the line. Though Kellen, the golden boy everyone loved, is dead. Surprise, surprise. The Alpha Quadrant will little note nor long remember what was done on AR-558 this day. It would be for the living to be dedicated to the unfinished work of those who were left there that could no longer do it. They had given their last full measure of devotion to the cause. But as I said, it was all useless. A waste. We'll discuss and break that down at a later point, along with Quark's wise words, on the next Lore Reloaded.